What's going on, guys? Happy Super Bowl Sunday, right? In less than 10 hours, the moment of truth. We're going to find out if the Chiefs are still the best team in the NFL, led by the quarterback, Patrick Mahomes. But before we get into football, I want to ask Bill Haney a couple of questions, man. Is Ryan Garcia La Raza now because he fought your son, right? On top of fighting your son, or supposedly it's going to happen on, 420, the day of the stoners. Or is it possibly another day of April Fools? Look, less than a month ago, your son said, "Don't ever mention my name." That's what he told to Ryan Garcia after there was a negotiation fallout. And supposedly he was going to fight Rolly Romero or Pitbull Cruz, because Mayweather got into the ear of Ryan and told him, "Look, man, if you become a champion by beating and fighting Rolly, the unification fight between you and Devin at 140 is going to be much bigger than it is right now. See, Devin has all the power. He's undisputed. He's a champion. He's a pound for pound fighter. He's made history. He's got a legacy. You, Ryan, you don't really have anything." That's what Mayweather was telling Ryan Garcia. And just like always, Ryan gets played, right? Ryan gets played. So I want to ask Bill Haney, if you were questioning Ryan Garcia, if he was La Raza because he didn't live up to his word, why don't you hold that same standard to your son? After this is maybe the third or fourth time that Ryan is supposed to fight you, and he walks away to go a different path. You see, one of the saddest things about boxing is when you watch credible people, or in life, when you watch credible people engage in the circus act, right? You have guys that are credible like Arnold Barboza and Jose Ramirez call out Rolly Romero and chase him as if Rolly is a legit champion. In this case, we have Devin Haney, who is a legit boxer, someone that's actually looking to make history and fight tough opponents and engage as well in the circus act, trying to chase the pretty girl to prom in Ryan Garcia. Third or fourth times, man. It's like, Devin, you took him back, bro. You took Ryan Garcia back, and why would you, man? You told him, "Don't mention my name." And it's the most ridiculous thing. It's very frustrating, guys. It's very frustrating. So I wonder if Devin's father will tell Devin, it's like, "Nah, bro, don't make this fight happen. F this dude." Apparently, Ryan, this was a month ago, guys. This is not that long ago, right? When Ryan did the old switcheroo, right? So I just want to ask Bill Haney that question. Is Ryan Garcia La Raza now, right? Because I guess that's the standard, right? If he beats you or he chooses to fight your son, that's the standard of becoming and being involved in La Raza, right? This is what Bill Haney a month ago was saying when he basically asked all these Mexicans here, because apparently these are Mexican, because they have the skin, están morenitos, they speak Spanish, they got the little whack-ass comb over. I got a whack-ass comb over, but look at this. Wow. Bill goes, we talked about this like a month ago, right? So because Devin Haney and his son, they traveled to Mexico, Tijuana, and had a lot of ballroom fights. That's the standard. That's what you have to do to become, affiliated with the Mexicans. And apparently, Bill Haney can ask all these Mexicans, so to speak, crab in the bucket mentality people here, and they can ask him, and he, Bill is putting them to the test, the Mexican test, and he's asking these men, so to speak, if Ryan is La Raza, and everyone says no, right? Everyone says no. You can go on this video on Fight Hype and watch it for yourselves. But I want to focus on this magical woman right here. He's asking all these tough dudes, right, that are shaved, The bald head, you know. Look at him taking pictures like females. Look at him. Hey, dude, Bill, let's take a picture, dude. Bill, come on, dude. Let me get 10,000 followers, dude. Now, here's this magical woman.
Let me ask you, is Ryan Garcia La Raza or not? Ryan Garcia, is he La Raza or no? Well, what is it? So we know. Because we found out that he's not a badass.
Look at the sincerity of her voice. Well, that depends what the raza is. Let's hear that again, man. I don't know if you guys can hear this. I don't know if I'm a little deaf in my ears, but hopefully you guys can hear it. Just give me a heads up. Like, it's crystal clear.
Ryan Garcia. What is it? So we know. Because we found out that he's not a badass. Ryan Garcia's not. Or is he? I don't know.
I saw him fight against him. He's not a great fighter.
Okay, good. So he should fight.
You see? She's the only one rebuttaling Bill Haney. Bill Haney asks her, is Ryan Garcia La Raza? And she goes, well, it depends what the raza is. So it's such a great question, and Bill had no answer to it. Bill then goes on and states, well, we found out that Ryan Garcia isn't a badass. Well, she goes, I saw him fight in Houston, and he was pretty badass to me. Man, salute to you. Now, I'm not one here to defend Ryan Garcia because, look, man, what is there to defend? What is there to defend about Ryan Garcia? This is a guy that goes on and speaks and gives you religious quotes, but then goes and marks up his whole body with tattoos, right? This is the same guy that, you know, preaches that he's trying to live a clean life and that being a Christian is not about being perfect or, you know, living out life without sin, but, you know, goes on and divorces his wife soon after they have the birth of their child. Like, this is Ryan Garcia. So I'm not here to defend this guy, but for the sake of just going against Bill Haney for a bit, you got to really realize, man, that this is the utmost disrespect. And this lady here, shout out to her, because she's the only one that has balls out of all these men and actually starts to question Bill Haney and not letting him get away with certain topics that he shouldn't have the right to speak about.
Devin Haney. You have one person that says that you should.
He put on a really good fight.
That's why we listen. There's one person in the building that we will whip your ass out for. And that's the.
So I guess Ryan Garcia is La Raza now for fighting Devin Haney, right? All right, very, very interesting, man. Very interesting. I'm going to go on to a different point. We could maybe say this. Maybe. That Devin Haney will be fighting a better version of Ryan than Tank Davis fought Ryan, right? Now, the reason I say that is because Tank Davis's team, you know, they're smart. They actually look out for their fighter, and their fighter actually listens to them, right? Tank Davis put a lot, as we know, a lot of rehydration stipulations on Ryan. They also fought at a catch weight, when in the past 2 years, Ryan has pretty much been fighting at 140, right? That's where he fought Javier Fortuna and dropped him. And there was another fighter up there that he beat. But there were rehydration clauses. To my knowledge, Devin Haney is going to put no stipulation on Ryan. So this could be a better version than Ryan that Tank fought, right? Even though Ryan looked like shit against Oscar Duarte, even though he had the lamest shoulder roll that the world has ever seen, nevertheless, I believe he's going to give Devin Haney a much tougher fight than he did against Tank Davis. I could be wrong, but I think the fight with him and Tank Davis went 7 or 10 rounds. I don't know. I think it might have been 7 before, you know, he took a knee and quit. But there's been many fighters that have got hit with a body shot. Everyone says that the liver shot is one of the hardest punches to recover from. But apparently, when Ryan Garcia takes a knee on the hardest punch ever to be received, he's a quitter. We've seen many fighters, right? On Pro Box the other day, Angelo Leo dropped this tough Filipino fighter with a body shot. But no one called him a quitter, but we called Ryan Garcia a quitter, right? Because it's a body shot, right? When Canelo Alvarez dropped Rocky Fielding with a body shot, no one called Rocky Fielding a quitter. When Canelo Alvarez knocked out Liam Smith at 154 with a body shot, liver shot, no one called Liam Smith a quitter. But when Tank, one of the hardest punchers, hits a broken rib sustained in camp, and Ryan takes a knee on the liver, he's labeled a quitter, right? Because he got up on the 11th second rather than the 10th. Could Ryan gotten up? Probably. I think he could. He could have. He got up at the 11th or 12th second, I'm pretty sure. Get up again, circle around, hug, and then take another knee. But all of these fighters are labeled quitters. The Mexican G, he instantly got up as soon as the ref called the fight. But people were calling Oscar De La Hoya a quitter too, and he stayed on his knees for like another 30 seconds. And people still labeled Oscar De La Hoya a quitter when Bernard Hopkins hit him with that body shot as well. See, you can never please fans, right? You can never please fans. But I agree. I thought Ryan could have got up, But I think Ryan, he felt enough. He was like, man, I got dropped in the second round with a hellacious shot to my face. I got up, and this dude is just completely outboxing me, outlanding me, and he fucking cracked this nasty-ass rib. My nose is bleeding. I've had enough, right? A lot of fighters have stated that they've had enough. So, yeah, maybe Ryan gets up, but Ryan ain't going to win that fight. But he might beat Devin Haney. He might win this one because he's not going to have those stipulations. Now, I will say this. I am a big fan of Devin Haney. I like Devin Haney. He's from Oakland, not too far from where I live. And he's a legacy fighter like Teofimo Lopez, right? And I get really disgusted sometimes by these two fighters because they actually have history. There's actually a legacy that they're trying to achieve. It's historical. What Devin and Teofimo are doing is what we've asked all these young fighters to do, is what we ask the veteran fighters to do. And they've become undisputed, and they've cemented their name in history, and that holds weight. That holds meaning. So I get really frustrated with Teo and Devin when they engage in the circus act, right? No disrespect to Jermaine Ortiz, but that performance over the weekend was horrendous. But to be honest, Teofimo Lopez should have never fought or given Jermaine Ortiz that opportunity for that belt. How do you go out and beat Josh Taylor, and then you go fight a 135-pounder in Jermaine Ortiz, who's not a mandatory, who's never basically campaigned at 140, and then all of a sudden he gets a shot at your title? Why, bro? Why? Same thing with Devin. Why are you fighting Ryan Garcia, bro? You have bigger and better things. Go fight and negotiate with Teofimo Lopez. Like, I'm starting to question why you don't want to fight Teo. Why not Subriel Matias? Right? Even though there's a fight with Leon Paro, but you could have negotiated with them beforehand that fight happened. So I started questioning these situations because it's kind of like Kanye West and Kim Kardashian. Kanye West made amazing albums. I wish I could play a few of the songs right now. He's got amazing songs, amazing catalog. He's reputable in the music world. Then he dates, a chick that made the wackest porn video that you can ever see. It's not even a porn video, but I don't even know what that was. Garbage. The acting is horrible. The cinematography is horrible. The lighting's horrible. It's horrible, bro. It's horrible. So she's a glorified hoe, and Kanye makes her reputable. He has access to certain people in the business that she wanted access to, and Kanye gave her that. That's exactly what Teofimo did to Jermaine Ortiz. You gave Jermaine Ortiz access to an opportunity that he didn't earn, right? Because beating Antonio Moran in your last fight does not get you a Teofimo Lopez shot. Teo should have been, look, Jermaine, you want to fight me? Go beat Subriel Matias. If you beat him, then come talk to me. But you haven't earned anything. The same thing that Teofimo told Keyshawn Davis. You see these belts right here? You see these belts? First go get one. That's what you should have told Jermaine Ortiz. That's what Devin Haney should be telling Ryan Garcia. Hey, motherfucker, you walked away from me to fight Rolly Romero. Go listen to Mayweather and go get that belt first. And if you do win that fight, which I don't even know if you can beat Rolly, then come and fight me for unification. You wanted to go your path and listen to them again. Go do it again one more time. Don't call me afterwards because, like Devin said, oh man, I must have closed the tab. But Devin says, don't ever mention my name. This was nothing but a month ago. So you got to start questioning every single one of these fighters, or Bill and Haney and Devin. It's like, bro, are you guys a man of your word? Because like you were questioning Ryan's a month ago about whether he was La Raza because apparently he's not a badass. Ryan is building a pretty nice little resume for himself. After getting destroyed by Tank Davis, fighting Oscar Duarte, now he's fighting Devin Haney. That's pretty badass, bro. I'm not going to lie. I got to give Ryan Garcia credit for fighting Devin because in the last couple of fights, you've looked like trash. You look horrible. Now, I will say this. Let me go back a little bit. Vince, salute to you, man. Ryan Garcia, Mexican, vamos. Absolutely, bro. I'm actually pretty excited for him. He's developing into a nice little, getting a nice little resume. You know, I would have wished, as we talked about it in the past, right? I would have wished that Ryan would have listened to Oscar a little more. After knocking out Luke Campbell, bro, the world was at your palm. Go fight Mercito Hesta. Go fight Jojo Diaz. Go fight William Camarón Cepeda. All southpaws. And if you can get through all three of those guys, Ryan could have. Because he would have all the power in the negotiations, moving all those three fighters up to 140, even 147 if Ryan needed all that. If you beat all three of those southpaws, you would have had experience with Luke Campbell, Javier Fortuna, Mercito Hesta, Jojo, who's a tough fight, and Mercito too, and El Camarón Cepeda. If you beat all those five, then you're ready for Tank. But no, instead of building a career, Ryan, you chose to get a mega fight. You see, this is why I know Tank and Mayweather are smarter than you, Ryan. They played you like a fiddle because a lot of people were asking Tank at the 21, 22 years old when he knocked out Pedraza and he was a champion, fight Lomachenko. And what did Mayweather do? He protected Tank from ever getting a Lomachenko fight. They ducked Lomachenko. And Tank listened to the promoters because they knew better. Right? Had Ryan just listened to the people that know better, like Oscar De La Hoya, and just build a career, he would have had much more success against Tank Davis had he went that route that Oscar laid out to him. Unfortunately, that didn't happen, and Ryan lost a lot of stock. Let me see if Drew and Speed are in. Oh, they're not. He lost a lot of stock, man. He lost a lot of stock. It's frustrating. It's frustrating. If I'm Golden Boy and Oscar in the zone, I'm very salty because that fight happened in a different platform. I think I was joint. I think you could have bought that fight on the zone and Showtime. I don't really remember. But nevertheless, they built Ryan, although this in terms of where he is right now, and then he pretty much burns bridges and walks away to another camp, right? And listens to another negotiator, listens to another team. I would feel salty if I'm Oscar De La Hoya. But even then, Oscar still has Ryan Garcia's back and his best interest. Now, maybe not so much when you're trying to put him up against Jose Ramirez, but, you know, I can see what Oscar's trying to do in that situation, right? Vince, happy Super Bowl Sunday, my brother. And like always, guys, it's going to be a good day today. The Mexican G, salute to you, man. He goes, Ryan ain't La Raza. Ryan clearly quit. He instantly got up as soon as the ref called the fight. That's just dumb. Oscar wasn't faking. He got hit with a brutal body shot. I know, but a lot of people were calling him a quitter. Actually, like this fight. They have history. Yes, sir, all the way since the amateurs. We've only seen Ryan in one training camp with DJ. maybe we see a more improved Ryan in the next fight. And that's one camp too many. He should get his ass back with Eddie Reynoso because that's the best we've seen Ryan Garcia. With Derrick James, I don't know, man. I thought AJ looked pretty good in his last fight, and I don't think Derrick James was working that corner. Errol Spence looked horrible against Bud Crawford. Frank Martin looked terrible against that German fighter. And Ryan Garcia had an amazing shoulder roll against Oscar Duarte. I don't know. Like Derrick James won Trainer of the Year. You got to get into these fighters' heads. I don't know if Derrick James is doing a good enough job in breaking his fighters so they can listen to his instruction and his voice only. See, when you're a trainer, you do have to break in your fighter. You got to break in the dog, right? So you can listen to your command. If you don't do that, then you might have a soldier that goes AWOL, right? And it's very important, the chain of command. Sometimes you got to slap the fighter. Jermell didn't want to listen. I mean, they've all failed Derrick James in a certain, degree. I could be wrong. I don't know. But yeah, man. Super Bowl Sunday, right? Niners against the Chiefs. A rematch of 2019. I'm not going to lie, man. I'm a little nervous. But I'm excited. Because this is the moment of truth. What can happen, what legends are able to be made, and the history of Brock Purdy is able to come through. It's going to be a good time, man. I mean, I say we should dominate them. I don't think the Chiefs are that great. They have a great quarterback, but roster, I mean, you just name out the names that we've talked about before. There's no team out there that has a stacked roster like the Niners. Next would be like maybe Buffalo Bills and the Cincinnati Bengals, but the Chiefs, they're making it work with what they have, right? The Mexican G goes, I didn't see no improvements when he was training with Eddie. Nah, man, that's the best that Ryan Garcia looked under. He was sitting on his punches, not trying to be this outboxer that he thinks that he was. He was fighting with a high guard. He was digging to the body. He looked good and explosive. But, just old habits die hard. And Ryan Stowe sometimes fights like an amateur. Pulls up with his head, chin up in the air, hands down, stretches, right? Those are normally amateur moves that you do when fighters trying to circle out and get out of range, right? They pull up high, stand up high, and reach out with their hands. Basic stuff. But yeah, man. Floyd Mayweather. This guy is salty. Floyd is salty because, as we know, he's always wanted to sign Ryan Garcia. Till this day, he wants Ryan Garcia. He's also wanted Devin Haney and Shakur Stevenson. And I understand. If I'm Floyd Mayweather, the reason I bring him up is because I think it was yesterday, 2 days ago, Ryan and Devin Haney had a, brown versus black face-off where they were had this WWE build-up. Cameras are all there. It wasn't spontaneous. It was acted out. They probably texted each other. And, man, these guys talk. Man, they need to hire some screenwriters, because everyone talks about, oh, man, it was scripted. Well, then you got to hire some writers or, some MCs or some battle rappers to write you guys some bars because, man, you look like a ghost. You turning pale. Man, you whack. And, these guys have the worst trash talking, gift of gab in the history. These guys are horrible. They're horrible, man. They're horrible. So you got to hire, some Immaculate, some, not Pat Stay, RIP, but some Big K, some Arsenal. You got to get some real battle rappers to drop you guys some bars so you guys can be witty with the words because that's what people want. They want great buildups. And, bro, that thing was corny. And I thought Devin Haney landed a punch in there, but, he didn't. It looked like the bodyguard just kind of smacked Ryan Garcia in the shoulder and spun him around. And then, like always, Ryan Garcia has his defensive, head movement and rolling with the shots after, he gets touched. He did so when Tank slowly touched his chin and he was like, woo, woo, and dodging, bro. What a funny guy. He's a great fun guy. But, nah, man, the reason I bring up Mayweather again is because he's always wanted to put limitations and hinder, right, with roadblocks, the career of Devin, Ryan, and Shakur, because these three fighters did not sign with Floyd, right? Floyd gave these guys access to their gym, access to certain accessibility of sparring, certain access to trainers, his father, and he was teaching these guys. And then all of these guys go sign with, quote unquote, the white man. Devin Haney goes to Eddie Hearn and DAZN. Shakur signs with Top Rank, and Ryan Garcia signs with Oscar De La Hoya. Basically, all three nemesis of what Mayweather's trying to build over at the PBC, right? Because he says that he and Al Haymon are one. So if you sign with PBC, you're basically signing with Mayweather. And all three of these fighters leave Mayweather, and he feels salty. So he's always either low-key, subliminally throwing shots at them, question how belts don't mean anything when these fighters become three-time or undisputed champions, right? Mayweather is always trying to snake and hinder them and limit their success. This is why Mayweather got into the corner in the ear of Ryan to not make the Devin Haney fight and go the route of Rolly, and PBC went another way. It's very interesting, man. So that's the reason why I bring up Mayweather's name in this situation, because he's always trying to hinder the success of Devin and Shakur, and for that matter, the success of, Ryan Garcia. Because you can say that these fighters are all tied together. You can even add Teofimo Lopez in there. Because when he's talking about, all belts do is accumulate dust, and, how he tries to downplay the importance of undisputed, he's basically taking shots at Teofimo Lopez and all these fighters that went that road to become a legacy fighters and cement their name in the four-belt era, right, in history, because Floyd Mayweather never could. He never did. He refused to, right, when he could have. Now, you could say at one point he held all belts, but he didn't hold all belts simultaneously, and that's very important. It's very important because, as we know, there's always new kids in the block, and those kids are always going to test the veterans' temperament, their patience. They're always going to be coming after you. And that's how it's supposed to be, right? As we know that Sergio Maravilla told us, the road to become a champion, let alone to remain a champion, is always difficult. Anyway, so Devin will be fighting a better version of Ryan than Tank did. Tank did knock out an undefeated Ryan, which holds weight at that time, but it came with stipulations and rehydration clause. Devin is putting none, at least to my knowledge, on Ryan, which is going to be pretty interesting. Obviously, Ryan has a lot of things to work on. He still doesn't really have a good jab, but he does have that left hook. And sometimes, maybe that's sometimes all you need against fighters and against a fight. So it's going to be really interesting to see if Devin can he should be able to take that away from Ryan with relatively ease. Devin looks to be like he has all the makings of an amazing fighter. Whereas Ryan, look, man, Ryan just has to listen to his elders, and he's got to stop listening to Guadalupe Valencia, right? His manager. That guy is not in Ryan's best interest. Now, maybe they go way back when they were kids. I don't know. I don't really know the history of Guadalupe Valencia. But I know that Guadalupe, nor Ryan, nor Ryan's team know more boxing than Oscar De La Hoya. See, Oscar is a gold medalist, right? He made a promise to his mom that he would win gold, and that's what he did. He's a 5-time divisional champion. On top of that, he's fought damn near everybody. He's a Hall of Famer. He's built Canelo, passed the torch to Mayweather and Pacquiao. Oscar did that. He was the cash cow. He fought Felix Trinidad, fought Shane Mosley, fought all these dudes. An amazing fucking career, resume. Probably one of the best resumes in the history of boxing Oscar De La Hoya has. He established longevity as a promoter. The only boxer turned promoter to be very successful and actually dominate the game at one point. What PBC is trying to do with all these managers and business people, right, like Al Haymon, and try to get time slots and contract deals, Oscar has that and had that with Showtime. Okay? Now, you could say it was Richard Schaefer that built that, but built that off the face and the name and the money and resources of Oscar De La Hoya. Richard needs Oscar more than Oscar needed Richard. So let's get that clear. Sure, maybe Richard Schaefer was the one doing all these things, but it was off the money, the name of Oscar the Loya. Okay. And Oscar the Loya, still to this day, is running things at Golden Boy. Where is Richard Schaefer? So it lets you know who has more pull in the sport of boxing. Okay. Just for those naysayers out there that be like, nah, man, Richard Schaefer and Al Heyman were the ones running the business. And are they doing it better than Oscar the Loya? And the answer is no. Because as we stand the test of time right now, Oscar still has pull. And where is Richard Schaefer? What happened to his promotional company that he was trying to make global? It no longer exists. I forgot the name of it. I think at one time he had Nonito Donaire Rodriguez Prograis. They're not even with him anymore. Anyway, let's take a step back right here. So Ryan has to listen to Oscar more than ever. Even though there's like this weird fickle relationship, it's really not coming on the side of Oscar. It's really a lot of these backhanded compliments that Ryan does. He's listening to the wrong people that do not have his best interest at heart. When Oscar has been pretty much trying to protect and mold him into the next big thing for that company. But like always, I don't know, man. I think these guys are just jealous of Oscar. Now, they might look at, subliminally, Oscar is the devil. Maybe, right? Because of what he does with his private life and it becomes public. But you got to separate certain things, right? Business. And you got to separate what they do in the private life. And Oscar, for more or less, does good business. When he got Canelo Alvarez, that big 11 deal, splash money, basically close to 400 million guaranteed, give or take, the zone deal, that was huge. Then all of a sudden, Canelo sues Oscar the Loya, and then they part ways. I don't understand why. Because Oscar obviously needs Canelo Alvarez to get a contract and at the door with the zone, but he also has to look out for the rest of his roster that he has, like Virgil Ortiz, Jaime Munguia, Ryan Garcia, and all of these fighters that Oscar has at the time, Siniesa Estrada. He needs Canelo, to navigate and maneuver so he can have a schedule for the rest of his roster. But yeah, somehow Canelo turns back and be like, no, that's a problem, bro. You got me tied down to some network. When he wants, a 3-fight deal or single fight contracts with the zone. You can't blame Oscar for looking over his own interests. And for that matter, I can't blame Canelo for looking out for his own, right? This is just the nature of business. Well, Ryan, he doesn't have that pull, right? He doesn't have that stance. Sure, the fight that they made with Tank Davis generated a lot, probably the most that Oscar the Loya has been able to get as a promoter fee than the rest of the fights. But that's going to come in due time. Had Ryan just listened to those 5 fights that Oscar had planned for him, sure, they're dangerous, but it's also a sample size. If you can beat these guys, then you're going to be as ready as you're ever going to do or be in order to fight and defeat Tank Davis. All right? Because to be honest with you guys, look, man, Tank Davis really isn't that good. He's not that good. He's good enough to beat the fighters that he's beaten, but none of those fights are legendary fights or fights that are going to stand the test of time. No one talks about his performance versus Leo Santa Cruz. That was an amazing fight, and I love Leo. But when you start looking and be real nitpicky, made Leo move up, 5-10 pounds to fight him, right? He's fighting at 135 or at 130 when Leo has always been like a 122, at best maybe a 126-pound fighter. So when you start really picking, Mario Barrios might be a good fighter, but when you put a rehydration clause and he can't really make 140, still gives you a pretty good fight. Mario Barrios might end up being something really good, but he's got to play his cards right, and he's got to really pledge to PBC, bro, you got to keep me active. If not, Mario Barrios should walk away because Mario Barrios, in my opinion, could beat a Conor Benn. And if he's able to beat a Conor Benn, He could probably beat all those guys that Eddie has at the zone, like a Josh Kelly, maybe a David Avenesian. He can make a good and be a formidable force at 147. He can ask for a Josh Taylor fight. Mario Barrios could be really good, extremely good, if he plays his cards right. And, like always, if you remain active. But anyway, let me see if Speed and Gerard are on the lobby because, they always leave me hanging. Oh. Shout out to this woman right here for getting past the Bill Haney shenanigans. The Mexican G goes, I didn't see no improvements when he was when training with Eddie. But then you're not seeing enough. Got to open your eyes and actually see the big picture. And Ryan was getting really good under Eddie Reynoso. In fact, he looked his best with Eddie than he has with any other fighter, with any other trainer. Better than he was with the guy that wears denim jackets. His name is not running through my head, but he owns Goosen. Dan Goosen? Tim Goosen? I don't know. You know what I'm talking about, though. And he looked better than he did with Derrick James. Ryan Garcia looked the best under Eddie Reynoso. He got jogged by Luke Campbell training with Eddie. Yeah, but he also knocked out Luke Campbell. Something Lomachenko or Jorge Linares could not do. And he knocked him with a body punch. It's impressive stuff. War Speed goes at Vince Vargas, the Mexican G, at the homie Ricky. Good morrow, gents. How's it going? He also has to stop listening to his non-promoter, Mayweather, the man who tricked him into thinking he was going to get a quick belt off Rolly Romero. Absolutely. He was rather involved with Daniel Kinahan and Mac the Knife Promotions. The man, excuse me, being hunted down by the DBI or something. Yeah. And as you know, Daniel Kinahan, they're not involved in the sport of boxing because they were being hunted down. You said DBI, but it was probably the federal government, man, of all these countries for slinging coke and drug dealing and smuggling and extortion and all those RICO charges. I don't even know whatever happened to Daniel Kinahan. Vince goes, good evening, Paul. Yeah, man. So that's pretty much all I had to say about these three topics, man. I'm going to see if these guys want to hop on and, shoot the schnitt. But that's pretty much all I got to really say. Less than a month ago, this fight was off. And Devin Haney and Bill Haney take Ryan Garcia back. And they shouldn't have because, like that saying goes, let me see. I've notified my team. I'm going a different route. My intent now is to fight Rolando Romero. I pray my team backs me on this decision. Oscar, make this fight happen. That's the move. Bigger fight, bigger business. And Devin Haney still allows him to get away with those words. It's a bigger fight and bigger business. Than fighting me, Devin? No, hell no. And Devin should not have engaged in the tomfoolery when that fight fell through. He should have just been like, I try to tell you, why would you try to negotiate with PBC? Don't call me back and try to be friends. We are friends. See, Devin should be really insulted. And maybe Devin is. And maybe that's why Devin was like, man, even after all this, I still just want to punch and knock out Ryan Garcia. Because this fight should have happened years ago. And he's walked away from the negotiation table when he was my mandatory, when he held an interim belt 3 times already. It's insane. Warp Speed goes, I have to go to church. Starts very soon. I will later be on for the game, though, or another live later. Ryan versus Romero would have definitely been a more exciting fight. Ryan versus Romero would have been a more exciting fight. Bro, delete that comment, bro. How is it going to be a more exciting fight? Did you see Rolly Romero versus Ismael Barroso? Was that exciting? Did you see Ryan versus Oscar Duarte? Was that exciting? No, man. But did you see Devin Haney versus Lomachenko? Did you see Devin Haney versus Regis Prograis? Did you see Devin Haney versus Jorge Linares? All of those 3 fights were very exciting. Ryan versus Oscar Duarte was a poor display of boxing from both fighters. Romero running around and away from a 40-year-old and get robbed? Those are better, exciting fights than what Devin has given you in the last 3 fights, bro. Chill out, bro. Chill. That's not even true. Devin has always been superior to these dudes. That's why Devin gives you better performances in general. Both fights except the first fight, but the second fight, Devin Haney versus George Kambosos, that was extremely exciting. Devin tried to go for the KO, and George Kambosos, man, he just will not go down, right? It don't matter if you have power like Teofimo Lopez, you're not going to knock out George Kambosos. With that being said, if Vasily Lomachenko is able to do so, I will be extremely impressed, right? Because George is tough, man. George is a tough guy. This is the guy that sparred over 250-something rounds with Manny Pacquiao. So he can take a punch because those wild card Jim and Freddie Roach, they only bring the toughest of men, the toughest of boxers, like Lenny Zapovinga, like Joan Cepeda, like Leon Paro. Shout out to Leon Paro, man. I looks at the odds were like plus 500 or plus 750 against Subriel Matias. Might be a good fight, man. Might be a good fight. Devin is just going to outbox Ryan. It won't be competitive. Nah, man. I believe Devin Haney is going to try to go out there and knock out Ryan, which allows him to be in range for a counter left hook, in which Ryan might just land. If Ryan really hones in on his skills, throws in feints, lands the jab, throws hooks to the body first, and not just headhunt, he's got a good chance because he can match Devin Haney's speed. Right? For the most part, Devin Haney always has the speed, height, and length advantage over all his opponents. Well, against Ryan, everything's pretty much damn equal. Sure, Devin has better feet. Sure, he's much more disciplined. He's much more methodical. But he knows Ryan, and Ryan knows Devin from the amateurs. So they know it's going to be a really interesting, could be at times a tricky fight. But yeah, someone's getting dropped, and both fighters might get dropped. But yeah, man, obviously we would favor Devin because Devin has stood the test of time to be much more superior to almost all his adversaries, and he's fighting pound-for-pound fighters or ex-champions, where Ryan has done neither. Ryan versus Rolly would have been a dogfight between two fighters, but you just said that Ryan quit, so he has no dog in him against Tank Davis. Rolly Romero does not have dog in him either. He has no chin. He got hit by one punch, got up, acted like he was extremely stunned and hurt, and the referee waved it off. Again, bro, you're wrong in both accounts. Ryan and Rolly are not they're not exciting fighters, and they're not in exciting fights. Except one, Ryan was exciting with Luke Campbell. Two, both have no dog in them. As you said, they quit. So how are you going to put two quitters and think they're going to give you exciting fights? It's just not going to happen. And again, but sometimes you do put lower class fighters and you pin them together and they give you legendary fights. No disrespect to Mickey Ward or, Arturo Gatti, but those were, C plus B minus fighters. But you pin those dudes together, boy, oh boy, they gave you amazing trilogy, right? Because of those trilogy and hellacious heart and grit, they become Hall of Famers. Maybe you could get that with Ryan or Rolly. Let's not be so pessimistic. I can give you a little brownie point there, but I don't think so, man. Both of them are quitters. One guy hit on the chin. One guy hit with the body. As you state, Ryan could have gotten up. Rolly did get up. And he didn't even fight to the referee be like, nah, I'm good, I'm good. He just looked at him kind of stupefied and be like, huh? Where am I? Cookie. I promise you, this will not be a good fight. It's going to be a mismatch. Well, that's up to Ryan Garcia, ain't it? That's Ryan Garcia. Ryan Garcia doesn't train properly. If he makes up excuses, right? If he's worried about people hopping over his fence and robbing his pool parties, right? That's really up to Ryan Garcia. But if Ryan Garcia focuses, gets the right sparring partners, trains properly, actually has a game plan, and tries to execute it, he might win 2 rounds. And he might get knocked out. It's really up to Ryan's discipline and whether he believes that he can win this. I mean, I hope he goes in there with a winner's mentality because 2 weeks ago, he went on an interview and he basically said, man, guys, I knew I was going to lose to Tank Davis. If you knew you were going to lose to Tank Davis, why are you taking that fight then, bro? It's very frustrating. Sometimes I hate how these guys get pointed a camera and a microphone every time. Just shut up, bro. Just shut up. See, Canelo could go every single day and make interviews, but what's amazing about Canelo is he doesn't. He stays quiet. And you know what he's doing? Working extremely hard. The real fighters stay quiet and work extremely hard. Devin and Shakur are not out here doing a lot of interviews. From time to time, sure. But they're just steady working on their craft. But Ryan Garcia, man, he's everywhere. Devin Haney, he don't give out a lot of interviews either. But his father, he's his mouthpiece. But yeah. War Speed Labs, cookie. But yeah, man. You know, I think I mentioned this like 30 minutes ago, man. See how long I'm going on this live, man, because I'm not trying to talk too long. But Rolly, I hate seeing guys like Arnold Barboza, and I just repeat myself. Jose Ramirez, incredible opponents chase Rolly Romero. Don't engage in Rolly Romero. He's not a champion, so don't treat him like one. Don't chase him as he is one. Yes, it's an easy belt, but an easy belt is not one because people are going to disparage you, and they're going to say, man, you got that belt beating off Rolly. That's not a real champion. So Arnold and Jose Ramirez, if you guys ever listen to this moment, go fight Ismael Barroso. Go fight somebody that actually deserves to be chased. Because they robbed that man. Rolly doesn't deserve to be a champion. He quits on us. He fakes injuries. He gets beaten by 40-year-olds. And then they robbed that man and give him that belt. So Arnold and company, they should be looking to chase real champions. Don't chase the Rolly Romeros in the world, because who you take the belt from and how you become a champion, those two things matter. So if Arnold goes the road and fights Devin Haney and beats Devin, it's 100 times more impressive than getting an easy belt from Rolly Romero, who holds no weight, who has no pull, no credibility, no history, no legacy. You get what I'm saying? It matters who you beat to become a champion, and how you beat them matters. And that's why I was really happy that they didn't give Jermaine Ortiz and reward him as a champion over Teofimo Lopez, because that's not how you become a champion. When you are a challenger, and I hope all challengers understand this, think about it as this. You should never get the benefit of the doubt. You have to beat the champion, not just be a solid challenger. You have to go out there and take it from him. Don't expect to survive. Don't expect to get a fair shake. You have to look impressive, because the champion should have a home field advantage in boxing. The champion should have all of his people and his fan base filled in arena, so they should be booing you. A champion should have the promoter and everybody backing him up. So they should have all these obstructions. And yet you're supposed to go into the lion's den of Rome and silence all doubters. Jermaine Ortiz did not do that. You fought in a way where you survived, where you didn't engage, when you know you could have, because you looked to be faster, and when you were in the pocket or you pushed Teofimo back up against the ropes, you actually landed punches. You looked to be big as well, and you can match Teofimo's athleticism, skill, but you didn't want to match his toughness to fight and engage toe-to-toe. And you have to do that. So I think boxing won in that aspect in terms of doing the right thing and not making Teofimo a loser. But everybody lost that night, because it could have been an amazing performance had Jermaine Ortiz came to fight. Like I've told you guys before, it's very easy to run away from a fight than it is to come forward to it. It's much harder. Much harder. Circling, I thought it was a scoring criteria, ring generalship, but probably not. And I've always told you, to circle out is very easy, but to stay in the pocket block, catch and shoot. That's not easy to do. So when guys, ignorant guys like Keith Thurman, go out and say, "I've never got beat by a flat-footed Mexican," bro, you wish you can fight like that, and you used to fight like that. That's when you were at your best. Anyway, man, I sound like I'm repeating myself from previous videos. I hate refraining. I will refrain from doing so. It's just not my thing. Warp Speed goes, the Mexican G goes, Haney ain't knocking out nobody. It could be explosive as both are very flawed fighters, susceptible to being outboxed, but it could also be a very short fight, not worthy of the money, in my opinion. The Mexican G goes, he's feather-fisted. He's going to outbox Ryan for 12 rounds. I don't know, man. Oh, can I say this? If Ryan Garcia would have fought Regis Prograis, I got Ryan Garcia beating Regis. Because I think Luke is a better boxer. He's a better outboxer and has way better footwork, right? Luke Campbell is a gold medalist. And I think he's a better overall boxer than Regis Prograis. Obviously, Regis has the power and nice inside game. But I think Ryan could have beat Regis Prograis as well. Maybe I'm tripping, right? But I think Ryan would have beat Regis. Probably knocked him out with a check left hook to the body or upstairs. Maybe, because he's going to be way faster than Regis Prograis, Ryan is. But yeah, it's really interesting. But he didn't look so feather-fisted against Regis Prograis, though. Because when you actually have food in your belly, it matters. It matters. You don't have to, lose extreme and weaken yourself because check this out, guys. I was hoping Speed would hop on, but, he's getting ready to put on his suit to go to church. But when you cut a lot of weight and you shrink your stomach, you start to lose muscle as well. Not only just mass and weight and fluidity in you, but you start to shrink your stomach and you lose muscle. Devin Haney has been losing muscle to make 135. Devin Haney will only be stronger at 140 and 147. So he'll be more comfortable in taking punches and sitting in the pocket and loading up on his shots. And if he does, he's getting that knockout power. Mind you, Devin Haney's only like 23 years old. Ryan is only 26. So these guys are getting to their stages of getting into their manpower phase, so to speak. Warp Speed goes, exactly. The judge who had a clear win for Lopez had the right judging criteria for the sport to grow. On the live, me and Pachuco were talking about how boxing should change a little bit of the third man in the ring, right? And how the referee should tell these fighters when there's excessive running, like there's excessive holding, like there's excessive dirtiness, call break and tell these guys, you guys have to fight. They should penalize fighters for not coming to fight. They should deduct money from Jermaine Ortiz if he does in fight. Because everybody loses. The networks lose. Both fighters' stock loses. Castillo looks horrible. Jermaine Ortiz looks horrible. Fans start to boo. And it hurts the brand of Top Rank. It hurts ESPN because you're associated with a Jermaine Ortiz, right? This is what happened with HBO and Rigondeaux. Oh, Bob Arum goes, I'm disgusted with Rigondeaux. When I say their names to the higher-ups, they throw up. When your own promoter talks about you like that, believe me, nobody wins. The fighter's ego goes down. The fighter becomes, disgruntled. Nobody wins. The networks don't want to see you put on a boring performance, and or if you do get a big fight, beat their favorite fighter like Nonito Donaire, who they're trying to push like the next Pacquiao. Everybody loses. So when Jermaine Ortiz does that, he should get fined. They should deduct points away from him because you're running away from the action. That's not boxing, ladies and gentlemen. When you run and circle like that, it is not boxing, right? Oscar De La Hoya, when he fought Felix Trinidad in the last 3 rounds, in the championship rounds, the most important rounds, 10, 11, and 12, he did the same thing as Jermaine Ortiz, and he lost that fight because of it. When Keith Thurman ran from Danny Garcia in those rounds, people booed him. That is not boxing. That's not even amateur boxing. They have to impose these fighters and tell them, bro, box. Anyway, it's not boxing, guys. It's horrible. It's horrible. I don't know what that is. Jermaine Ortiz should be ashamed of himself. Because it's very disrespectful to run away from a person after you talk so much shit, right? This is the same guy, Jermaine Ortiz goes, no disrespect. I got that dog in him. I'm going to see if Tio's got that dog in him. I'm going to rip his head off. Those are fighting words. And then you do what you did on Saturday night. What is that, bro? I don't understand. And it's mostly certain group of fighters that talk so much trash and then they start running from you. Oh, guys, I'm outboxing you. This is boxing. He did not get hit. Well, you sure did a lot of not hitting. Bro, it's hit and not get hit, which means you have to land something and then be slick. Then you block. Then you roll. You can't just not hit and bro, it's frustrating, right? That's why Shakur should not be a champion versus Edwin de los Santos. That's why Jermaine Ortiz is not a champion over Teofimo Lopez. Sometimes you should not reward these fighters for that type of behavior and the lack of executing the game plan. Because I guarantee you this, if Jermaine was not afraid of Teofimo Lopez, he gives you a performance like he did against Jamel Herring. If he's not afraid of Teo, he goes for the knockout. But because he was afraid of Teo, because he respected that guy's power, he ran the whole night. Oh my goodness, man. Gosh. And we have to sit there and waste 48 minutes off our life. And the best thing that we can say is, hey, did you see that guy deep throat that sword down his esophagus? Wow. And he didn't gargle. He didn't spit. Like, are you kidding me? Anyway, guys, on that note, man, I pretty much talked about nonsense. The Mexican G goes, I just don't see Haney knocking everybody out. Yeah, man, you might be right. Haney might not have that knockout blow. And you need to have the coup de grace. You need to have that punch, man. Because if you don't have that punch, a lot of fans, you're going to miss out on a lot of opportunity for sensational moments, highlight reels, and to go global, right? To go worldwide. When you sleep somebody, when you make him stutter, when he's in the ring twitching and his hands are flapping in the air and his legs are up in the air and the fighter looks to be paralyzed, that stuff goes viral. Haney needs, I agree, Haney needs to develop the knockout punch, a knockout power. Maybe it's a sequence of body punches. I don't know what it is. But he needs to learn how to sit on his punches and deliver knockouts. Because in the way he beat Rigas Prograis, that is amazing. That was amazing. But imagine had you done that and slept Rigas. Well, then people are putting you up there with Bud Crawford because Bud was outboxing Errol and then he was knocking him out brutally. That's what Haney needs to start developing. I don't know what it takes, right, in order to get that power. Maybe he needs to eat meat. Maybe he needs to eat bacon. I don't know what it is. It could be haram. But it is what it is. He's got to just figure it out because you have every other tool in the sport. You have good footwork. You got IQ, ring generalship. You got a jab. You got combination punches. You got defense. But you lack power. And the funny thing about it is you need all 6 of those things to make up for the lack of power. Where guys like Deontay Wilder, Ryan Garcia just have power and they don't have those other 6 things. So then you really realize that Haney has to be very studious and be a master in the craft of boxing because he wasn't born with that genetic strength and or doesn't have power. Where guys that do have power, they neglect the other pillars of boxing that you're supposed to have and be taught, and you just rely on one thing. It's the hypocrisy. It's the beauty of the yin and the yang of the sport of boxing, where the clashes of styles. And then you guys have like Canelo, you guys have guys like Canelo Alvarez and Triple G and Beterbiev and Bivol that try to master and hone everything, and then they become complete fighters. It's impeccable. It's impeccable. But on that note, man, happy Super Bowl Sunday. Hopefully you guys have an amazing barbecue beans with carne asadas and jarritos and all those things, man. Stay, have a great time with the family. Enjoy that game. But the company and the people that you share with is more important than who wins the fight. So don't act a fool and don't bet your house or your wife because it's not that serious. But on that note, let's go Niners. Bang, bang. Niner gang.